You've been told again and again that the burning in your chest is from too much acid, that your stomach is somehow overflowing with fire, and the only way to put it out is to suppress it. But let me ask you this, if that were really true, why do most people who take acid-blocking medication end up worse over time? Why does their digestion weaken, their energy drop, and their health spiral down? The truth is, for the majority of people, the problem isn't too much acid, it's not enough. Yes, the very thing you've been taught to fear is exactly what your body is starving for. When your stomach acid is low, food sits there, fermenting, creating gas, pushing up into your chest, and giving you that false signal of excess acid. But the burning sensation is a trick. It's a symptom of weakness, not overflow. And when you kill the little acid you do have with antacids, you strip your body of its first line of defense, and the cycle of indigestion never ends. They've lied to you because it's profitable to keep you chasing relief instead of resolution. Think about what really happens when you reach for that antacid or acid blocker. For a moment, yes, you feel relief, the burn quiets down, and you think the problem is solved, but what no one tells you is that this solution is like covering a warning light on your car's dashboard with tape. The problem doesn't go away. It gets worse behind the scenes. By lowering your stomach acid even further, you're shutting down the very mechanism your body depends on to digest food, extract minerals, and keep harmful microbes out. That quick fix is stealing from your future health. It's like borrowing comfort now but paying for it with fatigue, nutrient deficiencies, and a weakened gut later. And the system wants you trapped in that cycle because every pill you take guarantees you'll need another tomorrow. They're not helping you heal. They're training your body to depend on them while your true problem grows silently stronger. Your body was never designed to function without strong stomach acid. It's one of the most vital tools you have. That acid is not your enemy, it's your protector. It breaks down proteins so they don't sit in your stomach half-digested. It unlocks minerals like calcium, magnesium, zinc, and iron so your body can actually use them, and it creates the exact environment needed for enzymes to do their job. Without it, your food just becomes fuel for bloating, gas, and discomfort. And here's something even more powerful. Stomach acid is like your first line of defense against invaders. Harmful microbes, parasites, and bacteria can't survive in a strong, acidic environment. But when acid is weak, that defense system collapses, and now your gut becomes a breeding ground for problems. So when you suppress acid, you're not solving indigestion. You're disarming your body's natural defense and weakening the very process that keeps you alive and energized. And here's where the deception really shows. They keep your attention on the symptom while ignoring the root cause. You feel burning, so they tell you it must be excess acid, but they never ask why your digestion is weak in the first place. They don't talk about how processed foods, constant snacking, eating late at night, stress, and even nutrient deficiencies destroy the stomach's ability to produce acid. They don't mention how low levels of enzymes or bile add to the problem, leaving your food stuck and fermenting. Instead, they hand you a pill and convince you that covering the pain is the same as solving it. But if the engine of your car is failing, you don't just turn up the radio to drown out the noise, you fix the engine. The same is true here. Unless you restore your digestion at the root, you'll always be chasing symptoms while the real issue keeps getting worse in the background. What they don't tell you is that the moment you shut down stomach acid, you set yourself up for a slow decline in health because now your body can't absorb the very nutrients it depends on. Calcium can't be pulled out of your food, so your bones weaken over time. Magnesium stays locked away, and suddenly you're dealing with muscle cramps, poor sleep, and even heart rhythm problems. Zinc never gets properly absorbed, and now your immune system and skin start to suffer. Iron levels drop, leaving you tired, weak, and foggy-headed. Even B12, the vitamin that keeps your brain sharp and your energy high, requires stomach acid to be absorbed. Without it, fatigue creeps in, mood changes appear, and memory starts slipping. So every time you silence acid, you're actually starving your body of what it needs most. And then the doctor calls it aging, or genetics, or bad luck, when in reality, it's the direct result of weakening a system that was designed to keep you strong. Stress is one of the most underestimated, silent destroyers of digestion, and most people don't even realize the connection. We've been trained to think of stress as something that just affects our mood, maybe our energy, maybe our sleep, but not our gut. Yet, the truth is, the very system that produces stomach acid, that powers your digestion, that determines whether you can break down food or not, is directly controlled by stress. And this is why so many people who are constantly rushing, constantly worried, constantly on edge, end up with chronic indigestion and never connect the dots. Here's how it works. Your body is equipped with two powerful systems. One is called fight or flight, and the other is called rest and digest. These two cannot operate at full capacity at the same time. When you're in fight or flight, stressed, anxious, overthinking, worried about money, work, family, the future, your body shuts down digestion because it thinks survival is the priority. The blood moves away from your stomach, the production of stomach acid drops, and your digestive process gets put on hold. That's why you can eat the healthiest meal, but if you're stressed, your body won't digest it properly. The nutrients don't get absorbed, food sits heavy, gas builds up, and that false signal of acid indigestion begins. Now think about modern life. People are eating meals in their car on the way to work, scrolling their phones with stressful news as they eat, answering emails at the dinner table, or rushing late at night and grabbing food when the body is already tired. Every one of those situations triggers fight or flight. So even though you're putting food in your stomach, your body is not in a state to handle it. And then what happens? You feel that discomfort, you blame the food, you blame too much acid, when in reality, it was stress shutting off your digestion in the first place. And this isn't just about emotional stress. It's physical too. Poor sleep is a stressor. Overtraining in the gym is a stressor. Dehydration is a stressor. Even constant exposure to stimulants like caffeine keeps your body in a mild state of stress. And all of this chips away at the stomach's ability to produce strong acid. So now, your digestion weakens, your food ferments, and you get the very symptoms that lead you back to antacids and acid blockers. What's truly deceptive is how this cycle feeds on itself. Because when your digestion is weak, you can't absorb key nutrients like magnesium, zinc, and B vitamins, the very nutrients your body needs to calm stress. So now stress lowers acid. Weak acid causes poor absorption. Poor absorption fuels more stress, and the cycle never ends. Do you see how clever and cruel this is? The system doesn't just hand you a short-term problem, it locks you into a long-term dependency. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine someone who works long hours, always on edge, always wired. They grab coffee in the morning, skip breakfast, maybe eat fast food at lunch in the car, and finally eat a heavy dinner late at night when their body is exhausted. By that time, their stress hormones have been elevated all day. Their stomach acid production has been suppressed, and when they eat, food doesn't digest properly. Gas builds, acid reflux kicks in, and they reach for an antacid. They think the pill solved the problem, but in reality, they just dug the hole deeper. Over weeks and months, this becomes their new normal: constant stress, weak digestion, more medication, and slowly, their energy collapses. They wake up tired, they lose focus at work, their mood dips, their sleep worsens, and their body begins to break down in ways they can't explain. But at the root, it all started with stress shutting off digestion. And here's where the lie continues. They tell you it's the acid that's the enemy, that the burn is a random problem, that the pill is the answer. But the real issue was never the acid. The real issue was that your body was never in a state to digest in the first place because stress hijacked the system. And no pill in the world can fix that. Now, think about what happens when you actually reverse this. Imagine sitting down to eat in a calm state, breathing deeply before your meal, slowing your mind, and letting your body know it's safe to digest. Immediately, your stomach begins producing strong acid. The food you eat breaks down efficiently, nutrients get absorbed, and your body feels energized instead of heavy. And over time, your stress levels drop because your body finally gets the minerals and vitamins it needs to stay calm. This is not just a physical shift, it's a mental one. Suddenly, you're not reacting to every stress trigger with panic, your resilience grows. That's the power of digestion working the way it's supposed to, but most people never get there because they're stuck in the lie. They think, I need to get rid of this burning sensation right now, and they silence the symptom instead of asking the deeper question, why is my body not digesting in the first place? And the answer almost always comes back to stress. The irony is, many people carry this stress unconsciously. They don't even know they're in fight or flight because it's become their normal. The constant background hum of anxiety, pressure, noise, deadlines, notifications, it's all stress, and it's all shutting down their digestion without them realizing. That's why someone can eat the same meal in two different situations and have completely different outcomes. Eat a meal while relaxed on vacation, and your body digests beautifully. Eat the same meal during a stressful day at work, and suddenly you're bloated and burning. The food didn't change, the state of your body did. This is why you can't look at indigestion in isolation. You can't just say, it's the food or it's the acid. You have to look at the entire environment in which your body is trying to digest. Because digestion isn't mechanical, it's hormonal, it's nervous system driven, it's emotional. Your stomach acid isn't produced in a vacuum, it's switched on or switched off depending on how safe and calm your body feels. And if your body never feels calm, your digestion will never be strong. Now here's the empowering truth. You don't have to be a victim of this cycle. Stress is not something you eliminate, it's something you manage, and when you learn to manage it, your digestion begins to heal itself. Small shifts make a massive difference. Taking a few deep breaths before eating, putting away your phone and focusing on your meal, eating slowly and chewing thoroughly, getting sunlight during the day to regulate stress hormones, prioritizing real sleep instead of scrolling late at night. Every one of these simple actions signals to your body it's safe, you can digest now, and with that, stomach acid begins to flow again, digestion gets stronger, and symptoms start to fade. But let's go even deeper. When you free your body from the grip of stress, you unlock more than just better digestion. You unlock your potential. Because your body is no longer wasting energy fighting stress and mismanaging food, that energy returns to you. You think clearer, you perform better, your mood stabilizes, and your confidence grows. And all of that came from understanding one simple truth. Stress was never harmless background noise. It was the hidden hand stealing your health. So when you hear that burning in your chest, don't just think about acid, think about the life you're living. Ask yourself, am I constantly rushing, constantly tense, constantly pushing my body without giving it the signal that it's safe to rest and digest? Because until you address that, no pill, no antacid, no quick fix will ever solve the problem. They can silence symptoms, but they can't restore the design your body was built on. Only you can do that by choosing to live differently, to eat differently, and to respond to stress in a way that empowers you instead of enslaves you. And once you truly see this, everything changes. Because now you realize that acid indigestion was never a random curse or a broken body. It was your body's way of telling you, slow down, calm down, restore balance. And when you listen, not only does your digestion heal, but your entire life begins to rise to a level of health, energy, and freedom that no pill could ever give you. Now, let's look at diet, because this is where most people unknowingly sabotage their digestion every single day. We live in a world where refined carbs, sugar, processed snacks, and late night meals have become the norm. And what do all of these foods do? They weaken the stomach's ability to produce strong acid and overwhelm the digestive system. Sugar ferments quickly in the stomach, creating gas, pressure, and bloating that push acid upward, making you think you've got too much. Processed foods strip away the nutrients your stomach needs to function, leaving it weaker over time. And when you eat late at night, especially heavy meals, you're forcing your body to digest when it's supposed to be resting. That food sits there undigested, and the pressure creates that burning sensation you've come to know as indigestion. But imagine flipping the script. When you eat real, whole foods, vegetables rich in minerals, clean proteins that your body can break down, healthy fats that don't spike insulin, you're actually feeding your stomach what it needs to produce acid. You're restoring its strength instead of robbing it. And when you time your meals properly, allowing space between eating, avoiding those late night snacks, you give your stomach the chance to fully reset, to finish the job before the next load of food comes in. This is why people who cut out sugar and processed junk, even without medication, often see their heartburn disappear almost overnight. The problem wasn't their stomach being broken, it was their diet constantly pushing it beyond its design. And here's what's fascinating: the very foods that weaken digestion are the ones most people crave when they're stressed or tired. That's not an accident. Sugar and carbs give a quick high, a short-term comfort, but then they set off the very symptoms that drive you back into stress and medication. Meanwhile, the foods that truly heal, greens, fermented vegetables, grass-fed proteins, healthy fats, actually calm your system and rebuild your digestion. So it becomes a choice. Do you keep eating the foods that trap you in the cycle, or do you feed your body in a way that empowers it to heal? Because every bite you take is either fueling the lie or feeding your freedom. And here's something almost no one tells you: when your stomach acid is weak, it's not just about food sitting heavy or nutrients being lost. It actually changes the entire ecosystem of your gut. Stomach acid is like the gatekeeper. It sterilizes what comes in, making sure harmful microbes, parasites, and bacteria don't survive. But when that acid barrier is lowered, the gates swing wide open, and suddenly organisms that should have been destroyed at the stomach level now move into your intestines. That's how bacteria like H. pylori thrive, feeding on undigested food, damaging the lining of your stomach, and creating even more inflammation and reflux. It's also how yeast and harmful microbes overgrow, leaving you bloated, fatigued, and craving sugar. Now think about this: the very burning you feel in your chest might not just be from acid. It could be the byproduct of microbes fermenting food that never got broken down properly. Gas builds up, pressure increases, and acid is forced upward, making it look like you have an acid problem, when in reality you have a microbe problem caused by low acid in the first place. And the cruel irony is that when you take acid-suppressing drugs, you make the environment even friendlier for these organisms. You weaken your defenses and they multiply. This is why so many people on long-term acid blockers end up with chronic gut infections, SIBO, or recurring indigestion that never seems to resolve. But here's the empowering part. When you restore your stomach acid, when you strengthen that natural barrier again, those harmful microbes can't survive. Suddenly the bloating decreases, the reflux fades, the constant cravings calm down, and your gut begins to heal. Your body was designed to win this battle. You were never meant to live at the mercy of bacteria overrunning your system. The problem wasn't your body being broken. It was the lie that acid was your enemy, when in truth, acid was your shield all along. Here's the part that most people overlook. You don't always need a prescription, a fancy treatment, or some complicated medical plan to fix digestion. Your body already knows how to heal itself if you give it the right tools. One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is start supporting your digestion naturally. Something as basic as a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water before a meal can give your stomach the acidity it's missing, helping food break down the way it's supposed to. For some people, using HCl with meals provides that extra support until their own stomach acid production strengthens again. And when you bring in fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, you're not only supporting digestion with natural acids and enzymes, you're also feeding your gut with the beneficial microbes that restore balance from the inside out. Even the way you eat matters. When you sit down calmly, chew your food thoroughly, and avoid rushing, you're signaling your body to activate digestion instead of shutting it down. Small lifestyle changes like spacing your meals, not eating late at night, and staying hydrated make a massive difference. These aren't gimmicks, they're the same principles your body was designed to operate on. And when you start living in alignment with that design, indigestion begins to fade, energy returns, and your body finally feels like it's working with you instead of against you. The truth is, natural restoration doesn't just treat symptoms, it rebuilds the system so you no longer depend on quick fixes. That's the real path to freedom, and this is where everything comes together, because at the end of the day, it's about empowerment versus dependence. You've been trained to believe that the only way to survive indigestion is to keep a bottle of pills by your side, to live in fear of every meal, to depend on something outside of you to silence the discomfort. But that's not healing, that's a trap. Real healing is when you no longer need those pills because your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. When you strengthen your digestion at the root, when you restore stomach acid, when you fix your diet, manage stress, and bring back balance, you don't just get relief, you get freedom. Think about how different life feels when you're not worried about whether a meal will trigger pain. Think about the energy you regain when your body is actually absorbing nutrients again, when your brain feels sharp, when your sleep is deep, when your mood is stable. That's the life you were meant to live, and it doesn't come from suppressing your body, it comes from supporting it. Every step you take away from dependence and toward empowerment is a step closer to real health, real confidence, real freedom. And that's why the truth matters, because once you see that they lied to you, once you understand that your body is not broken, you finally realize the power to heal was in you all along. So here's the truth you were never meant to hear. Acid indigestion was never about your body betraying you. It was about years of lies convincing you that the very system designed to protect and strengthen you was somehow your enemy. They told you acid was the problem when in reality it was the missing piece. They pushed pills that silenced symptoms while weakening the root. They sold you fear and they profited from your dependence. But now you see the bigger picture. You see that stress, poor diet, and weak digestion, not excess acid, were the real culprits all along. And once you see the truth, you can never unsee it. You now know that your body has the power to heal, that natural solutions exist, that every choice you make, what you eat, how you handle stress, how you support your digestion, either locks you into the lie or frees you into health. The choice is no longer in their hands, it's in yours. Will you keep silencing your body, or will you finally listen to it? Because the moment you choose to restore instead of suppress, to empower instead of depend, is the moment you break free from the cycle and reclaim the energy, the health, and the freedom you were always meant to have.